It says we're live. So welcome everyone to Gospel Tangents live video. We're going to be talking a little bit about Imperial Zions. I'm going to be giving away a copy. So welcome to those of you who are here, and welcome to those of you who may be watching this later. But we're very glad to have you. I've invited Amanda. Hopefully, we'll see if she pops in. So I haven't figured out how to invite a guest yet. So hopefully, just go ahead and put your comments in there, questions. Maybe you have some questions for Amanda. I'll do my best to answer them, but hopefully she comes. So anyway, tell us who you are and where you're from. And also, if you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. So I should give away a prize to somebody who watches on LinkedIn, because I don't think I've ever had anybody mention that they watched it on LinkedIn. So I still do have my phone case. Oh, Amanda's here. Yay. Good to have you, Amanda. If I knew how to make you a guest, I would. But Amanda's in the house. So if you have any questions for Amanda, that would be awesome. So, and Amanda's on Facebook. So welcome. I hope the weather is well in Montana. It's been getting a little bit cooler. And also, hopefully, you guys can hear me. I have these in, but they're not doing any good. I think I'm going to take them out because I forgot to hook up my Bluetooth adapter. So hopefully I sound good. Jonathan Felt lives in Utah, Davies County. Oh, I thought almost Davis County, Davies County, Missouri. And you like to translate first century Hebrew. Wow, that's pretty good. Now it looks like we've got a few people watching. There's Jonathan here. Jonathan looks like he's on YouTube, but very good. So especially if you're on LinkedIn, I should also show you my my phone case for the Apple. Excuse me, not the Apple. Android 8, Pixel 8. I have a case. I left it in the other room though. But anyway, so I did have one person. He thought I was giving away a Pixel 8 phone. No, just the case for the Pixel 8. So, all righty. Well, welcome. So it was really fun to talk about Amanda's book, Imperial Zions, here, and once again, she was very kind to sign it. And so one of you is going to win. I wonder if I should wait for more people. You can see I've got my little contest thingamajiggy here. And anyway, and I'm also excited to just mention really quickly, Amanda's coming to John Whitmer in St. George. And you all should come, because you can see me, you can see Amanda. I'm going to have a table there, and I would love to meet you. So anyway, very good. So it was just fun talking to Amanda about the book. I lost all my notes. But you know, the thing I love about this book mostly was just because the RLDS and LDS church history in Tahiti, I thought was really interesting. You know, of course, we were all one church at one time. And then when the missionaries left, the RLDS missionaries kind of came in and kept it going. And so it was interesting to find out how many, why the Community of Christ has such a big presence in, and I don't know how big it is, but a relatively large presence in Tahiti. So that was a lot of fun. It was also fun talking about some of the Native Americans. You know, we don't talk a lot about Native American racism generally in the church. We just think, oh, they're Lamanites. Of course, they love it, but you know, some people don't like. Some Native Americans don't like the Book of Mormon, so that was very interesting. I'm trying to remember what else I had. I'm really mad I missed my notes. You know, and I wish I could have Amanda talk. But it was interesting. I was just looking at the thing here. The race and sex of God. That was interesting. We always think of God as being a white male. And maybe God is. None of us really know. So that was interesting. Louis Dana, she starts out with the Oneida man. So Jonathan, here, let me pop this in here really quick. I'll just show this in here. Jonathan lives in Davies County. I think I mentioned that earlier. And our RLDS brothers have done a great job with Lamanites, proselytizing, etc. Yeah, so that's great. I'm thinking, should we get the contest going here? Find out who's going to win? Spinning around. I didn't have this contest as open last time, so your chances of winning are pretty good here. Let's see. I'm going to pick this one here. Hopefully it doesn't mute out on me. Brian Tippett of Boise, Idaho. You are a winner of Imperial Zions. So congratulations, Brian. You know, we used to have a lot of Utah winners. Now everybody's out of state. So you'll have to send me a picture, Brian, with you holding the book. I'll put it in my newsletter or something. So I also thought it was really interesting talking to Amanda. And honestly, I think I have more questions now, especially after I watched it. I was like, oh, I didn't ask that. The fact that John C. Bennett, I didn't realize, had written a pamphlet on abortion. That was pretty interesting. You know, John C. Bennett, somewhere around here, I have the biography about him called The Saintly Scoundrel. And I'm going to throw this question out to you, Amanda. Because especially after I listened to it again, I was like, because I know Amanda said that John C. Bennett, a lot of the allegations against him were typical of male midwives from the 19th century, that they were promiscuous and that sort of a thing. It does, and so the question is, were those just made up allegations, or do you believe that he might have been guilty? So I'll throw that out at you, Amanda. Guilty of adultery or polygamy or whatever. Untoward behavior, we'll just say it that way. And also, here, I'll throw this one out to you also, Amanda, because I think my listeners would be interested. Is, do you think the abortion allegations against John C. Bennett, were they legit or not legit? So I thought that was interesting. And I will also add, for those of you who are out there, let us know if you have any questions for Amanda, because we got Amanda Hendrix-Komoto in the house. So hopefully she's typing, and we'll get an answer here. But yeah, so really, the whole abortion thing. Oh, here we go. We've got our answer here. I think there are probably a little bit of both. There's probably a kernel of truth that gets amplified. Okay. So, and is that with regards to both the abortions and the adultery / polygamy, or what do you think there? But I just thought it was really interesting. I know there's been some people that have questioned a lot of things there, and so, I mean, I do think some of the allegations. John C. Bennett is such a hard guy to gauge because he has. I'll ask that question in just a minute, Jonathan. He's hard to gauge because he does have credibility issues. Some of the things he said were true. Some of the things he said were exaggerations. And then it's also interesting to talk about the exaggerations about John, what was true, what wasn't. So Jonathan has a interesting question here for Amanda. Does Amanda believe Joseph Smith Jr. was a Utah-type polygamist? Was there a difference between eternal marriage and the law of adoption? So I'll give Amanda a minute there. I'll leave it up there so Amanda can see that there and respond as she wants to. But my guess, I'll answer. This is on me. I know you asked Amanda, but I'm going to answer from my point of view. Joseph Smith was not a Utah polygamist at all. he was a Nauvoo polygamist, and there definitely were changes there. So I would suspect, well, I don't want to put words in Amanda's mouth. She would probably agree with that. Was there a difference between eternal marriage and the law of adoption? Oh, now look at this. Hopefully my thing won't move too much here. In answer to that, I have an interview scheduled with Christopher Smith. Oh, that just changed my thing here. But Christopher Smith and Don Bradley have co-written a chapter in Secret Covenants, which is fantastic. And just to give you guys a little bit of a preview, although we'll dive definitely into way more detail. Let's see here. Where's the chapter together? Here it is. Don Bradley. It's called Of Generations and Genders, Fanny Alger, and the Adoptive Origin of Ritual Sealing. And the thing that I thought was very interesting with this, and I don't want to give too much away, but they make the case, and Chris, by the way, Don is LDS, but Chris is not. Chris is evangelical background. And he makes the case that the Fanny Alger sealing, even though it was a marriage sealing, was more intended as an adoptive sealing, and that Oliver Cowdery may have felt that way too. So I don't want to go too into that, but it's a very fascinating chapter, and I think it's going to be a fun interview coming up. So got that coming up with Chris. All right, so Amanda's first answer. Oh, this was a previous question. As far as allegations about abortion, she thinks Amanda was thinking of abortion when we answered that. I know less about adultery allegations, but probably with the polygamy allegations as well. And then, let's see. So Amanda says, I'm not quite sure of what we mean by Utah-type polygamist. There are definitely major differences, namely that Joseph Smith didn't live polygamy openly. Yeah, that's a good point. She continues, Jonathan Stapley traces the law of adoption in his book on the development of Mormon theology. I will just point out that that was a fun interview. Well, actually, is that his new book or his old book? Because I think Jonathan's got a new one coming out. And it was fantastic. So, but I also know he's coming out with a new book. So, and then Christopher Smith is an ex-evangelical. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Oh, never mind. She'll be right back. Anyway, Jonathan says, can you enumerate your opinion of the differences? You're talking about Utah and Nauvoo polygamy, I guess. Is that right? Assuming that's correct. Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference, like Amanda said, is that Joseph lived it secretly, and in Utah it was much more public, and you know, they changed the laws to make it so you could live polygamy openly. So that's a big difference. So yeah, I mean, so there were some pretty major differences. You know, also with talking with Claire Barris, he says that some of the ceremonies that Joseph Smith some of the sealings that Joseph Smith participated in may not have actually had ceremonies. And so, and I will also tell you, all my books are in the way and I can't remember where they are. There was a book, it's kind of an older book, by Campbell, Eugene Campbell, I think it was, that talked about he told about a story. It's one of my favorite stories about a young man in Utah, and certainly this isn't what happened in Nauvoo. So But there was a young man in Utah. They went to a church dance, and some girl really liked him, and he wasn't really that interested in her or whatever. And the bishop came to the dance and was like, "Hey, if you two want to get married, I'll marry you right here on the spot." And so the guy, and I wish I could remember his name, but as the story goes, um, the guy just thought this was a joke, and but the bishop was like, he pronounced them man and wife and married them right there on the spot. And so like a month later, he goes to the bishop and he wants to marry a different woman. And the bishop's like, "Well, you're already married." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I performed the wedding," or whatever. And so, I mean, that kind of shows you. Well, and I will also just mention really quickly, Marianne Clements had mentioned that, let's see, I lost my train of thought there. She had mentioned, because I had made a big emphasis with Claire Barris, especially on that interview. I was like, was this a sealing or was it just a marriage? Because in the modern LDS church, we talk about that, about how you can get married civilly, and then a month later, a year later, whatever, or 20 years later, you can go to the temple and you get sealed. So we consider the sealing and the marriage as two different events. In Nauvoo, it probably wasn't that way. And, in the case of the bishop that married these kids outside of a dance, I mean, they were like, I shouldn't say kids, they were teenagers, 19, 20, 21, something around there. They're very young. And so, I mean, the whole theology was much more developed. And so Marianne says in Joseph Smith's day, a marriage and a sealing were basically the same thing. And so they didn't have all of the rules that developed later in the Utah period, and so there's really a lot of differences between Utah polygamy and other types of polygamy. So anyway, so yeah, I don't think anyone would agree that Joseph Smith was a Utah polygamist at all. And I mean, even as you look with the difference between the LDS and the RLDS churches, those are very different as well. So anyway, what other questions do you guys have? And Amanda, I'll just open it up. Is there anything that you wish you had said about your book or on the podcast that you want to bring up now? So throw that out there as well. Trying to think. I really wish I'd have had my notes, because I lost them. So I'm kind of stumped here a little bit. Let's see. By the way, I guess I should also ask you, Amanda, we're back in school at Utah Valley University. Are you back in school up there at Montana State? I think BYU starts on Tuesday of this week. They're coming up a little bit later, but anyway, let's see, what were the other things? I'm trying to remember. I guess another difference between Utah and Nauvoo polygamy is it was, oh, you're on sabbatical. That's cool for you. I'm jealous. Very cool. So other differences, just Utah, we just lived it much more openly. In Nauvoo, it was a complete secret and that sort of a thing. So so that's that. All right. Well, I wish I knew how. I would love to patch Amanda into this broadcast if I knew how to do it. I don't. Got a cropped layout. I don't know what that even means, but yeah, I got to learn how to use this software. I should probably invite other authors in. So I'm trying to be the relay person. I apologize, because it would be funner to do it with more than one. She does have something here. Let's see what it says. One thing is also different about Utah is Latter-day Saints have encountered fur traders and Native Americans who practice polygamy. Yeah, that would be interesting to see, because I know Larry Foster, Dr. Larry Foster from Georgia Tech, had mentioned in one of the interviews about somebody that wanted to, a so-called Gentile had wanted to join the LDS Church, and he'd written a letter. I want to say Mary Rollins Leitner, and she was offended, like, well, you can't just do this. It's not just for salacious sex and things like that. You have to do it on the proper authority in the right way. And obviously, Native Americans who were polygamists, LDS wouldn't recognize them as having proper authority. So that would be another pretty big difference as well. But obviously, the main difference is just the fact that it was lived openly in Utah and secretly in Nauvoo. So. I will just also cite, since hopefully, Amanda, this is okay to share. I think it is. You can get mad at me later, I guess. But there was a Utah Supreme Court decision recently. It's public knowledge, I guess. So, but Amanda was cited in the case. I wonder if I could pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick. Because I pulled it up when I looked at it, but I should have had that here. But anyway, the Supreme Court cited her I think as part of, Utah. We talked a little bit about abortion, and they had a stay of the abortion law in Utah. And so she was cited because of her, is this it? Because of her knowledge about the Supreme Court. And oh man, that was a long time ago, apparently. Maybe this is it. Nope. So maybe, Amanda, if you remember, can you just mention what the case is, and we'll put that in there. So anyway, she does really good work. Even the Supreme Court cites her work. So, oh, here she's got another comment here. There's a fur trader in Montana who writes that he didn't have a problem with polygamy because he already had 2 wives. His problem with Mormonism was Brigham. Not the only one, I'm sure. There's probably even more. And then here's the info. The page includes the decision. It's a long thing here. www.plannedparenthood-action.org/plan-council-utah-inc/policy/lawsuits. So that's the case that Amanda was cited. I wonder, I don't know if I can copy and paste that, but I might, because I remember, no, it's not going to let me. I wonder if I can do it this way. I did pull it up. I wonder if I can. It's going to be too hard. But anyway, I've got it on the screen there. You guys can see it. And for my listening audience who might listen to this later, I gave you the address there. But anyway, so that's pretty awesome. For those of you who came late, I just want to mention here, Brian Tippett from Boise, Idaho, is the winner of an autographed copy of Imperial Zions. So congratulations, Brian. And I'll be getting that out in the mail this week. I didn't have a lot planned for this. So maybe we'll just keep this short and sweet. Just wanted to announce the winner. I will tell you, coming up this week, we've got Cheryl Bruno and John Dinger, and that's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking. We're going to dive back into this. Well, actually, oh, sorry, I've got them underneath my computer, so hopefully I don't. It's kind of my desk here. We're going to be talking about Come Up Hither to Zion, and it's the biography of William Marks, which is really fascinating, really well done. Cheryl, she's been a busy author, 2 books this year, and we also talked with Cheryl later about the her other masonry book, which is around here somewhere, Method Infinite as well. So John Dinger and Amanda are having a conference about Idaho history. Oh, on October 18th and 19th in Boise, Idaho. Brian Tippett can join us there. So there you have it. Didn't know about that. That's good. So I'll have to add that to my newsletter. Do you know, is it just in a hotel or something? I'll have to get more information from you on that. That's pretty cool. So anyway, well, we're about a half hour in. We'll just keep this short and sweet. So once again, oh yeah, Brian lives in Boise, Idaho. That's where the Brian Tippett came from. So Brian, well, you've already got her autograph, but you could meet her in person. So anyway, we'll just keep this short and sweet. And thank you all for joining us on the live stream today. And congratulations, Brian, on the book. And check out the interview with Cheryl Bruno and John Dinger later on this week. Thanks, everybody.